Hi, everybody, and welcome. I am Todd Kuiper Berman Jr. I am happy to welcome you back to the 2020-2021 fantasy football season, and I'd like to welcome you to my new platform. That's right, we have a new platform. It's Todd's 10, which will be a fantasy football preview show of the upcoming fantasy football matchups of the week. This week, of course, week 1, big week, a lot of excitement. Am I going to get it all done in 10 minutes? Probably not, but it was a catchy name. Open to interpretations, open to more names, ready to listen, ready to work, and excited to preview the SPE F09/S10 Fantasy Football League. Let's just jump right into it, folks. Looking at our first matchup of the week, we have is the Geis worse the squeeze, and what if Godwin was one of us? Both players who are having existential crises. That's right, Mike Rowan, who's the captain, the leader, the manager of the Geis worse the squeeze, a guy usually in contention for the championship, at least in contention for the most trades. This is the guy you're going to look here. And of course, Jeff Up, a perennial championship contender himself. Again, both having existential crises, both asking universal questions, sending out questions to the universe. These are guys that have probably gotten into meditation recently over the past couple years. Looking at the matchup, something new was providing. We're going to do a little win probability here, looking at a win probability of 50%. So this is a touch-up matchup. The Geis projected at 109.9 points per game. Jeff Up with Godwin, 116.3. Now, looking at the matchups here, we got Rodgers versus Allen in the quarterback matchup. That's a toss-up. But you can't like the matchup with Rodgers this week going up against a Mike Zimmer defense. Zimmer's generally had Rodgers' number. Granted, Rodgers in a unique situation here, much like a Brett Favre situation when he was drafted. Will he bounce back? Anyways, Josh Allen playing the New York Jets, probably a more favorable matchup between the two. Looking at the running back position for Jeff Up, for Godwin's team, you got Edwards-Helaire, Cohen, and for Rowan, Gordon versus James White. Gordon is a question mark going into the game, so that's obviously got to be a concern for Mike Rowan as a manager. Again, I think the running back position probably skewing more towards Up, but again, I'm not a math guy, not sure exactly what skewing means. I know what a skew number is, because I worked at Home Depot for a brief period of time, but I'm not quite sure what skewing means. Looking at the wide receiver position, this is where the matchup gets real juicy. You're looking at DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones for Mike Rowan's squad, Chris Godwin and Odell Beckham Jr., the shit king for Jeff Up. Both guys, if you look at the 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, not 2 years ago because Chris Godwin was irrelevant, but last year these are all big names, big guys that delivered. Looking at the tight end position, you got Gronk making his comeback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going to be really excited to see what he can do with Tom Brady versus New Orleans, though. Tough matchup. Mark Andrews, top 3 tight end, fantasy tight end in my opinion. Nice pick by Up, going against a juicy matchup with Cleveland. I think Up has the advantage there, and so do most people. Looking at the flex position, though, this is where I think Rowan takes the cake. He's got Keenan Allen versus Marquise Brown. Now, Marquise Hollywood Brown is Hollywood. He's got flash. He could go off. And, of course, my girlfriend is calling me right now. So, in the middle of the fucking video. This is a good blooper, but we don't do bloopers. We do it all in one take here in Todd's 10. Anyways, Marquise Hollywood Brown, good player, but I think Keenan Allen has the advantage. Defenses are equal. If I had to pick up, I'm going to go Jeff Up's team just due to matchups. Looking at the next matchup, it's Stay Off the Weed, Mike Boyd's team, who's obviously been on the weed too long because he hasn't been able to change his team name. We also have the Demi Hopkins. Get a new name, Deutsch. Stranger Things was so 2019. Update your team name. But looking at the matchup, we got a win probability of 51% for Stay Off the Weed, Sorry, I got to say it right. If I don't say it right, the team name doesn't have quite the impact that Mike Boyd was going for. Looking at the quarterback matchup, Russell Wilson, always a perennial stud in fantasy, going against an Atlanta defense under Dan Quinn that hasn't been very good lately. Cam Newton is the other quarterback going against Miami, but see what he does with Bill Belichick. But I have to give the advantage to Mike Boyd there. As far as the running back position, this is where it gets real interesting. Antonio Gibson is starting for the Demi Hopkins. That's right, starting for Deutsch. Washington running back, not even sure who he was going into the draft day. I know Brett Kohler was one of the several skeptics asking, who the heck is that guy? Well, the hat guy is starting in Eric Deutsch's lineup this week. Looking at his other running back, Derrick Henry, you know he's going to put up monster numbers. That'll probably help offset maybe a potential Antonio Gibson flop or a boom. It could be a boom or bust kind of week as far as the running back position goes. Look at Mike Boyd, Josh Jacobs, or Raheem Mostert. Solid balance. Mostert could have a big year. At the wide receiver position, this is an interesting battle as well. Devontae Adams versus DJ Moore. DJ Moore could be having a really good season. Of course, we're having ads in the middle of this goddamn show. So you're going to hear about a Peloton right now. And we're going to skip in 5, 4, 3, 2, skipping ads. Robert Woods versus Allen Robinson. Interesting match with the wide receiver position. Looking at the tight end, I think this is where Deutsch has the advantage. I think Mike Gesicki is in for a big week this week versus Austin Hooper, which there's a lot of targets to go around in Cleveland. And I'm not sure if Austin Hooper, first week, first time with the squad, is going to be the receiver, is going to manifest those targets. Anyways, looking at the flex position, this is where I think Mike Boyd really takes the cake again. I'm talking a lot about cake, obviously very hungry. Tyler Lockett versus Terry McLaurin. McLaurin could be good, but what is Dwayne Haskins at the quarterback position? I think Lockett takes the cheese there. And then, the receivers defense, not really a big thing. Chiefs playing tonight for Eric Deutsch. He'll get the night kicked off. Ravens playing Cleveland. Baker is prone to turnovers. Eldell, good for a fumble. Probably going to shit the bed. That's the last poop joke I'll make. Anyways, if I had to go, I'll go with Mike Boyd. I'm sticking with Mike Boyd on this pick. Looking at the next matchup, which is fetching Ed some Jaeger. Hopefully Ed's finally got it. He's been fetching it for several years, Jordan Mallon. And where's my money, man? Coach, I have it. It's in my bank account. Congratulations. So anyways, at least the past couple years. Thank you for your free donation for $100. Win probability going to 51% for Jordan Mallon. And looking at the lineups, I'm going to have to agree. Dak Prescott, who Mallon has in a couple leagues, really banking on him, is leading the quarterback position for him. Lamar Jackson, though, could do very well against Cleveland. That's a pretty even matchup in my eyes. Looking at the running back position, though, this is where it gets interesting. You got Todd Gurley versus Saquon Barkley. You got to go Saquon, and that's Saquon being on Coach's squad. And Devin Singletary versus Duke Johnson. Again, I think the running back position is skewing towards Coach. There it is, using a word I don't know. But this is where I think Mallon's team really surges. Is Michael Thomas with the new PPR rules is going to have a big game against Tampa Bay versus Cooper Kupp in Dallas. I think Michael Thomas has the advantage there. Devontae Parker versus T.Y. Hilton. If Devontae Parker plays, he is questionable at the moment. He could... She keeps calling me, man. So... it's questionable at the moment. I think he's going to have the advantage. George Kittle versus Hayden Hurst. You got to go to George Kittle there for George Mallon. And as far as, the flex position goes, Marvin Jones versus Sterling Shepard. Marvin Jones is the advantage there. That's why I'm going to go with Mallon as the pick to win this week. Now moving on to our next matchup. We only got 4 more left, folks. Camper's got a camp versus Macklin on your girl. Again, Camper's been camping for a long time. Feel like he's been lost out in the woods. Somebody find him. Some PS, find your iPhone, GPS track him. Bollinger's been Macklin on our girl for a long time as well. He is also married, so this is a little interesting that he's still macking on my girl. This is a win probability of 0-0. It's 50-50 matchup, so who's going to win? That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to preview it for you. Looking at the quarterback position, Drew Brees versus Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan for LeCamp and Drew Brees for Bollinger. I'm going to have to go Brees. I think he's going to have a nice game against that Tampa Bay defense. A lot of things improved on the offense. What has improved on the defense? Shaq Barrett, I think, is going to get locked down by a stellar New Orleans offensive line. Looking at the running back position, this is where I think Bollinger also has an advantage. Miles Sanders, questionable. Having some tissue issues, not good. And Bollinger's got McCaffrey and Ronald Jones, so I think he has a nice game against New Orleans. I think he has a good PPR game. Really banking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so though, looking at the receiver position, you got Mike Evans and Amari Cooper for Bollinger versus Sutton and Diggs. Again, Sutton's going against a tough Tennessee secondary. Diggs going against New York Jets. How does he connect with Josh Allen in the first game? A lot of question marks there. That's why I'm skewing towards Bollinger. Looking at the tight end position, though, I think LeCamp's got him here. Zach Ertz going against a suspect Washington defense. And Hunter Henry also going against a suspect Cincinnati defense, but Hunter Henry gets injured a lot. And I think he's going to get injured again. I think ultimately the advantage goes to LeCamp. They're looking at the flex, Jarvis Landry versus Brandon Cooks. That's a toss-up. Cooks, again, a tissue injury guy. Avoid the tissue injuries. LeCamp's got a lot of them. And that's why I'm going to go Bollinger as the favorite. Now looking at the playoff Jets versus the king of Tyreek Hill. Nice name change by Trey Nelson. Love it. Playoff Jets. Not sure I quite comprehend what you're going for there, Tyler Canning, but I'm going to roll with it. Looking at the win probability, we are skewed towards Tyler Canning with the 51% win probability, and let's dissect why. First off, Deshaun Watson versus Tom Brady. You got to go Watson. I think he has a nice night tonight, Thursday night. Less fans in Arrowhead, so I think that is a factor. And I think Deshaun Watson comes out and has a really nice game. As far as the running back position, though, Alvin Kamara and Chris Carson for Tyler Canning versus Jonathan Taylor and Kenyon Drake. And I think you look at that and you got to think Tyler Canning has the advantage. Jonathan Taylor in a 3-way backfield with Nyheim Hines, Marlon Mack, and himself. Chris Carson and Alvin Kamara will dominate the carries for both of their teams. You got to like the advantage that each is coming into the week with that. Now looking at the wide receiver position. Again, we got guys with injuries for Canning. We got Kenny Galladay, who's questionable, maybe just getting a day off, maybe getting a maintenance, a veteran player like that, getting some matrix. Also, a little bit of a contract issue with him. Maybe it's not a real injury after all. AJ Green, a guy who's perennially injured as well. The wide receiver position is suspect for Tyler Canning, and is really not that much so for the king of Tyreek Hill, for Trey Nelson. Tyreek Hill, of course, going to be leading the way starting on Thursday night tonight. I think Juju Smith has a nice game against the New York Giants secondary. I think he bounces back, and I think the advantage goes to Trey there. Looking at the tight end position, both guys that you're not sure what you're going to get. Evan Ingram, consistent when he plays, but he's going up against a tough Pittsburgh defense. Jared Cook against Tampa Bay. Are the targets going to get to him? Is Michael Thomas going to get 20 freaking targets? Who knows? Jared Cook might be the guy there. Looking at the flex position, again, Cam Akers versus Jerry Jeudy. Always put the money on the running back, although the rookie running back is suspect against Dallas. I'm still going to give the advantage to Trey Nelson. The defenses, Colts and Vikings, both I think have nice days. Kickers, I think Butker is an advantage at kicker. So I'm going to go with the upset here. Although the odds are favored towards Tyler Canning with 51% win probability, I am going to go with Trey Nelson as the winner of this game. Looking at the other matchups, hit the wrong button. God, my computer's at 2%. This is going to be interesting. Just loading. Talking. Let's look at my matchup, because of course it won't load right now. We're going to have to move the show. Well, here we are. One Nation Under Todd, Part 2. So you can see he did change the name. He added a Part 2 versus Max Chicago Great again. Chicago's never going to be great to group. Give it up. Anyways, looking at it here, Patrick Mahomes versus Kyler Murray. You got to go with the perennial league MVP. 51% win probability to Brett Kohler. Got to go with the league MVP there. Looking at, although Kyler Murray does have potential for rushing yards, so that is risky. Looking at the running back position, you got Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt for Brett Kohler, Nick Chubb and Le'Veon Bell for whoever I'm playing, Kyle DeGroot. Both guys. Dalvin Cook, I think, is going to have the advantage. He always does well against Green Bay. Nick Chubb, is splitting with Kareem Hunt. We got two Cleveland running backs. How does that get split up? That'll be interesting for Brett Kohler. He put a lot of stake in Kareem Hunt this year. Hopefully it pays off for him. Le'Veon Bell sucks. So, anyways, DK Metcalf and Julian Edelman for receivers for Brett Kohler's team. Probably the weak spot on his squad versus A.J. Brown and Tyler Boyd. You got to give the advantage to DeGroot there. I think DeGroot definitely has an advantage there. I think A.J. Brown has a nice night against that Denver secondary, as does Tyler Boyd. Looking at the tight end position, again, DeGroot has an advantage here. Travis Kelce coming against that Houston defense. Not great. Versus Noah Fant. Could have a big year, but I don't think today this is his week, playing a tough Tennessee defense. Looking at the flex position, both guys going with receivers that are boomer bust. Sammy Watkins went on for 50 points in week 1 this week. Kohler is hoping on the same kind of result this week. Christian Kirk going against San Francisco, a little bit of a tougher match. I'm going to give the advantage in the flex position to Brett. Overall, though, looking at defense, both got good defensive matchups. Both got good kickers. For the sake of just saying it, I think DeGroot probably is going to lose this week. To me, I will win. Brett Kohler will win this week. Moving on to our last matchup of the week, we have mixing things up versus the Loch Ness. I have 1%, so I'm going to go with this. Win probability going to the Loch Ness. I'm going with the Loch Ness. Even though I think Tolman has the advantage at quarterback with Matt Stafford. I think the advantage also goes to him with running backs. I think the advantage also goes to Eaglehoff with receivers Thielen and Shark versus Ridley and Fuller. I think Shark is going to have a big year. I think Thielen has a big game. Looking at the tight ends, I think it's an even matchup. Waller versus Higbee. This is where the real disparity comes in. Connor versus Deontay Johnson. Tolman's got a great set of running backs, a great stable of running backs. I think he wins this week with his great stable of running backs. I think he defies the odds and comes out with the victory. Anyways, that's Todd's 10, everybody. I'm Brett Kohler. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.